Hey there, brilliant people. So this is a video about how everything old is new again, the science edition. So everything old is new again, and last week I did a video on Samhain and on how by connecting with the other world we got a different relationship with time, and maybe we were able to talk to the ancestors or see things from a different perspective. And of course, one of the processes that we live through in society is that when we can take old wisdoms and recast them in the light of new understandings that we have grown into as a society. In fact, fractology is like that. Like, we teach in fractology, we teach intuition, we teach you how to live in your integrity, that is as who you really are, and how to do that in the world. And we do that by helping you develop fractal perception. But of course, fractal perception, we only really understood fractals to any great degree since the 80s, since we discovered or developed computers that were strong enough to really study fractals. But the wisdoms that we teach, of course, they're old. Like, the truth is still the truth, but now, thanks to fractals, we have a way that your left brain can really understand what your right brain, your intuition, has been saying all along. And that's sort of what I wanted to talk about today, particularly as there's one really wonderful example of that I've come across recently. So here in Australia, there is a company called Rainstack, and they are using science to work with some very old information. So using science, they are exposing seed to an electromagnetic burst or energy, so that it's as if the seeds were similarly to, like, they got struck by lightning, except, obviously if a seed was struck by lightning, it probably burst into flame, but this is just the frequency of the lightning. And the benefits of that are significant. The benefits are that the seed is much more productive, and it actually is more resistant to pests, and it grows better. And the interesting thing about that is that this is very old information. I don't know if you've ever seen this book. Unfortunately, it seems to be out of print now, and it's very hard to get hold of, but it's a fascinating read. So in this book, you will learn about two scientists who were looking at a lot of the old like megalithic structures, including some of the stone cairns in North America, and the Mayan pyramids, and Avebury in England, and Stonehenge, and a lot of these wonderful old structures. And what they learned was that a lot of these old stone structures were created in such a way that there is like an electromagnetic pulse that travels around the earth because of the rising and the setting of the sun, because there's a whole lot of energy, of course, coming from the sun. So that as the sun moves around the planet, at sort of dawn and dusk, there is almost like a pulse of this energy. And so seed that was in these stone cairns that they used old seed, and they exposed them, they left them overnight in these sites. And again, they found that these seeds grew much more strongly. They actually, it was like the seeds had been given something like an extra life force. And their contention was that clearly these like people who were building these structures, like some of them thousands of years ago, they knew what they were doing because it enabled them to create a stronger food supply for themselves. So this is what Rainstick is doing, except of course now with the benefit of science, they can really see what is happening. And so it seems that what the exposition of seed to this intense electromagnetic field is that it encourages the roots. So the seed that grows from the electromagnetized treatment means that they get a much stronger, much larger root ball, which means that of course the plant can absorb a lot more nutrients, it can dig into the soil and hang on to the soil a lot stronger, and because then the plant is more robust, it can also resist pests a lot more effectively. So I find that's kind of wonderful, but to me that is also one of the real joys of the times that we live in. We are seeing science and our spiritual or intuitive understanding coming together. So if you're someone who is interested in sustainable farming, you might want to have a look at what Rainstick Australia is doing. And if you want a fascinating read about when we look at spiritual things from a very practical or functional aspect, the things that we can learn, then see if you can find a copy of this book, because it's a wonderful book. It's a pity it's gone out of print, but see if you can track one down and have a read, because when you do, you will realize that all of us, we're brilliant.